We're ready, Mrs. Lane.
Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. We're going to do part 2, where we're going to be talking about definitely ceremonies. We're going to be talking about TV shows, movies, music, and we're going to end with internet type of addictions and definitely deception with internet and our children. So we're going to start off with combining Christianity and occult practices with holidays, rituals, and festivals.
Okay, here we have the pentagram with the cross. These two do not mix. If you see this, run in the opposite direction because it has nothing to do with Christianity. Now, the pentagram, according to Wikipedia, the pentagram and pentacle were used symbolically in ancient Greece and Babylonia. Today it is a symbol of faith by many Wiccans. The pentagram is also used with other belief systems, such as the Order of the Golden Dawn, with Aleister Crowley, Baha'i Faith, Mormonism, and Freemasonry, which is the Eastern Star. It is known to have magical associations. And so all of the ones that I just listed up here, they use it as a magical tool. Now, I thought this was interesting with me growing up in Christian Science. From the Mary Baker Eddy Library, she was the founder of Christian Science. She states that her first husband, George Washington Glover, was an active Freemason in Charleston, South Carolina. And I knew a lot of Masons, Eastern Stars, Job's Daughter, De Molay in the Christian Science Church. They all have the same thinking, as far as that goes. So these people, they're really, really nice people, but they're into the occult and they don't know it. So we need to pray for these people. Then we have the inverted pentagram right here, that goes with the Church of Satan. You see the Baphomet in the middle with the goat head. And this is for dark magic and the occult world. And also on Wikipedia, the sigil of Baphomet says it means a sign, word, or device held to have occult power in astrology or magic. And here we have the Baphomet shown with Sabrina, the teenage witch, on TV. So they're putting it out there for your children to see, and this is very evil. You want to stay away from that, for sure. This is, you see, it's also an inverted pentagram for the Eastern Star. This goes with the Masonic lineup. But see, because it is inverted, that means it is with the occult world. So that's what that looks like.
And then Anton LaVey, which some of you know is the father of Satanism, he says for Halloween, I am glad that Christian parents let their children worship the devil at least one time out of the year. So that's coming from Satanism.
Yeah. And here, me, Ken, and Trevor, we love to go to swap meets, okay? And we decided to go to a different swap meet for a change. So this one was from Santa Fe Springs, and this was actually one of the booths there called the Wickedness Store. Okay, we couldn't believe our eyes. We did not stay very long at the swap meet because it was very dark there. There was definitely a seducing spirit there. They were selling a lot of witchcraft stuff. But as you can see from the Wickedness Store, this is what this guy says. He's got the pentagram on there. And then off to the side it says heavy metal, death metal, black metal, grind, thrash, hardcore, punk. He is stating right on there that all of this stuff is wicked, which I completely agree. And the Bible agrees with this stuff. It was really sad to see such young teenagers in the store. There were 30-some, even people our age, in the store buying this stuff up. And in 1 Corinthians 15:33, it says, do not be deceived. Evil company corrupts good habits. So parents, if your kids are listening to this kind of music and doing this type of thing, just know that, don't be surprised if they walk away from their faith, because there is a seducing spirit behind that. That is not Holy Spirit led at all. Then we have this is also from the Wickedness Store, They're stating also that they believe Halloween to be a satanic holiday, which I agree with as well. And from what Dena just read to you from Anton LaVey, they were posting the same quote on their website. And also, look at what it says, be aware of these dangers. Went to the wickedness door and got possessed by a demon. So they're telling you right in your face what can happen. But they mock it at the same way. You know what I'm saying? It's very scary. But we have to remember, what we take in with our eyes and our ears is so important. We can't take in the evil stuff. It will cause problems. Also, we have to remember as parents, we are going to be accountable for what we teach our children, and we need to warn them and others. In Matthew 18:6, it says, but whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were drowned in the depth of the sea. That is like a pretty sobering scripture there. That, you got to be careful what you introduce children to. Very careful. And some of these heavy metal bands, I know they claim to be Christian, but that's where we need to use our discernment. And really, it doesn't mix. It doesn't mix. You have to see where, the seducing spirit compared to the Holy Spirit of God.
Okay, a lot of people are going to be like, what is wrong with going to Knott's Berry Farm for their Not Scary Night, right? It is so wicked. I've been to it before I was a Christian or a baby, really young, and I was scared to death. That's to be honest with you. It is so frightening with the zombies, the Walking Dead, all the blood and all the gore that is there, and we're actually paying to get into these places with the secular society, and some people in the Christian faith are doing the same. It is frightening. Also, you can go to the Queen Mary at Dark Harbor at the Queen Mary, and the same thing. It is a spooky fright. It is, to me, very, very wicked.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of paranormal activity reported at the Queen Mary. And I used to be so into the paranormal. I just used to love it. But I think that's how I really opened myself up to getting bothered by demons. So it's definitely something you want to stay away from.
Okay, here's blurring the lines. Now we're at a Christian church, or we are at a Christian event. This is an outfit that they're recommending for teens to dress up like as for a theme for Halloween as they're holding the Bible. Next to that is an event at a church where they are all dressed up like witches. So that's definitely blurring the lines between secular society, occultism, and blending Christian isms into the occult practices. So this is a church with this scene on the stage. So it says, churches celebrate Halloween with zombies, dancing skeletons, haunted hay rides, and spooktaculars. That is a church. And then children dressed up like Harry Potter. We'll be getting into that a little bit more down the road. Okay, anthrax. I know a lot of people know not to be listening to anthrax. This is definitely occultism. Do you see the pentagram and all the corners here? Totally satanic. But the reason that we have this out is to discuss something behind this.
And here we have Marilyn Manson with Anton LaVey. And you see the devil horns right there. That's also symbolism of Satanism. If your kids are throwing up the devil horns, talk to them about that, because that's a very evil practice as well in witchcraft.
Next, a lot of people, Beyonce starting off as a Christian and now has led all the way down to where she's dancing on pentagrams on stage. So pray for her. That's the best thing I can say for her, that she returns to her faith, that many, many people are following her. She is so popular. Okay, now we're going to see where the lines are blurred. Have you guys ever heard of Christian goth? No. Okay, so does this look like it is blurring the lines? the image, right? Yeah, so we are blurring the lines on this one. This is Christian heavy metal. It's called mental, right? Missionaries, mental missionaries. Metal missionaries. Metal is what they Metal missionaries. Does that look like it might be blurring the lines?
Yeah.
Even if they're screaming some kind of lyrics that have to do with the Bible or Christ, could somebody be stumbled and actually end up following occult practices and listening to music that relates to this? You can see the shirt he has on, heavy metal, blurring the lines. So be very careful. These are like that you can see that there's a big blur between the lines. There's things that are so subtle in music that you would not think would be blurring the lines, but they're unscriptural. They're dealing with other things in the world to bring in the world. So be caution. Please be very cautious with music. The devil uses music for sure. Okay, now we're going to get into the enemy uses TV to deceive many. You're going to be shocked at this next picture. What you need to know about sorcery and witchcraft in, look at this, cartoons, right? So it's outwardly for your children to see that this is Homer Simpson and My Little Pony. So children are being taught witchcraft for sure. I've been a teacher for over 20 years. I see it on the playgrounds. I work with the younger kids from 4 to 6 years old. They are casting spells on the playground. They are throwing crystals. They're doing zombie come alive. They are monsters on the playgrounds. They act out what they see on TV on the playgrounds. You would be shocked. And I work for a Christian school.
Okay, here we have Lucifer, Hot as Hell. This is a TV series also. You see how the little double horns are right above his head there. I just watched one episode of this show just to see what it was about, what's out there that people are watching. And this promotes everything that the Bible is against. It is, a lot of sex and drinking and drugs, living for yourself. And it even had me feeling sorry for Lucifer at the end of the show. And it's like a soap opera, so it really gets you to where you want to see what's going to happen the next time. So I said, we got to turn this off. But yeah, that's out there as well. Glorifying Lucifer is what it is.
And so are all these shows. Maleficent. Now she was the bad guy, right? In Disney, she's now the good person. So evil wins. That's when bad is good and good, is bad now. That's kind of like our world today, right? If you stand up for the truth, then you are wrong, but those who are standing for wicked are right. At least it's a backwards and upside down world that we're living in, and our children are being exposed to all this hocus pocus. It's the witches here, so it's normalized, right? It's becoming normalized for children to be okay with witchcraft and sorcery. Okay, the reason I have these yucky pictures up, a lot of us grew up in this era. Do you see that there's Chucky right here, the little doll, right? I had these 2 twin girls in my classroom that both got to see it at 4 years old for Halloween. They told their parents, we want to see it for Halloween. One of the twins was so traumatized. It was like a childhood trauma for her. She came to school and she was just so frightened. I felt so bad for her. You couldn't even mention the word Chuck E. Cheese around her. The other one seemed to be able to numb it out somehow and say it's not real, but believe me, these are traumas. And believe me, any of us have set our eyes onto these programs when we were younger, before we were Christians, it stays with you. Those images and those horrible things that happen in these shows. It is definitely the enemy. Now, a lot of you are going to say, Star Wars, don't talk about Star Wars. This is going to be hard for you guys to listen to, but listen to this. It's coming up next. It says, is there magic in Star Wars or just the Force? This comes from them. Here it comes.
Star Wars has been known to occasionally dabble in magic, as early back as the Ewok cartoons or the Ewok Battle for Endor made-for-TV movie. The Dathomirian Night Sisters of Star Wars Legends had some magic in their culture, and perhaps most prominently, their canon counterparts in the Clone Wars definitely used magic, spelled with a K in universe. So what is magic in Star Wars? Is it an aspect of the Force, or is it a completely separate thing? I believe the intent is for anything mystical or supernatural in Star Wars to be related to the Force. I think the new canon especially has done a really great job of showing us the various ways different cultures interpret and relate to the Force. They have their own beliefs, but it's clear that they are related to the Force as a whole. I think most people that just watch the movies tend to think that the Jedi, the Sith, the light and the dark are all there is to know about the Force, but I loved Luke's line in The Last Jedi about the light being its own thing, independent of the Jedi. Most of the new interpretations of the Force we've seen have been light side adjacent, I think, but the magic of the Night Sisters definitely seems to be their own version of the dark side. Nothing about it screams natural or light side to me, however that doesn't mean we've seen all there is to see. A Night Sister character in the mobile game Star Wars Uprising described her magic as a living thing that arises from blood and trees and mist, flowing through her veins that can be reshaped when channeled. That sounds incredibly similar to Obi-Wan's description of the Force to Luke, so that just really hammers home the idea that magic is just the Force by another name. And I have to imagine that even if we've seen mostly dark side uses of Night Sister magic, there are likely light side uses or spells as well. Of course, we've also seen a couple uses of straight-up Sith magic in both the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. Palpatine and Dooku used a technique to attack Yoda while he was on the Sith homeworld that required the use of Dooku's blood and Force lightning. The whole thing was done in a kind of cauldron, and it created illusions. It's very similar to what we would normally call witchcraft. The same cauldron and blue flame could be seen in the World Between Worlds episode of Star Wars Rebels, where again, I believe Sidious was creating illusions to trick Ezra Bridger, but he was also able to use the blue flame as an attack. I think we'll continue to learn more about the Force and its many interpretations, and I would like to see more from the quote-unquote magic side of things. But I think when it comes down to it in the Star Wars universe, it's all the Force. Anything mystical, otherworldly, or supernatural probably boils down to some sort of aspect of the Force at the end of the day.
Okay, is that shocking to anybody? Right? So it is seeped in witchcraft, sorcery, divination practices, false religions, and mysticism and occultism. So be very, very careful what you set your eyes to. And we're going to follow that up with Harry Potter. So I know a lot of you know that Harry Potter is very popular. They've been out for 24 years, right? Teaching sorcery and witchcraft. People are saying it's make-believe, it's not real witchcraft, it's innocent, spooky fun, or those kind of things. But this is leading children and young adults to visit literal witchcraft sites and sorcery sites. So be aware of the influences these are having on the children and young adults. The movies and then their worlds. You know, the world that's at Universal Studios. My sister was walking through this one time and she said that it was just wicked and evil when she was going through it, and she just felt like she had to get out of there. So be so cautious what you set your eyes on and what you allow the children to watch and what they're taking in. It's opening up doorways to make the dark is now a good thing to get into. It's that mixed up, upside down, and backwards world. Okay, now we're going to be talking about the internet. Yeah. So this is going to be something that children are getting into that is so consuming. It is taking their attention away from engaging in real life. So they live in make-believe worlds. They are so engaged that they leave and they meet their friends, but they're all on devices. So nobody's really communicating anymore. And what they're setting their eyes on, you are going to be shocked by the end of this. Some of you might know, other ones won't know how incredibly dark this is. So, and what they have access to at just a click. And they're better at the internet than we are. Much better. We have to get our kids help, right? So they're addicted to their social media sites for sure. They're more depressed than ever before, right? And this picture, I would say it does speak 1,000 words because they're just like so connected. It's their like life force. And this is definitely going to be an idol before the Lord for all of us. Now, have you guys ever heard of the dark web? Okay, this is frightening what you're going to learn right behind this and how evil this is. It says, is sent into hell. So watch this.
1 out of 5 teens has been contacted by a child predator, and that number is likely even higher because so many teens that have gotten involved with a stranger online choose not to report it.
13 Action News anchor Carla Wade has the information every parent needs to know.
Child sex crimes detectives waste very little time on sites like Facebook and Twitter, too public for the dark corners of a predator's world. However, the most popular chat apps, including Messenger, Snapchat, and Instagram, are predator hot zones, and that list is getting longer every day.
Of course, there's always some new app, some new website, something new that kids are finding and new ways to kind of use different apps irresponsibly.
Investigator Paul Spokas spends days and nights trying to get would-be pedophiles to take the bait. As a parent, the first thing you should be asking yourself is what apps are on your child's smart devices. Mocospace, Kick, Omegle, and Whisper are also quiet, pedophile-friendly apps that can expose your kids to those with less than honorable intentions, and all offer video chat options. Whisper even shows users how far away they are from each other.
Within 20, 30 seconds of having a conversation with some of these guys, they'll start requesting things.
Things like pictures. Your child's motivation on these apps and sites is simple. They want friends, they want attention, and they want to be popular.
Unfortunately, it's very easy. These guys or women are using sites that all of our kids are using.
And the threat goes even deeper and darker. The dark web has become an attractive curiosity for teens.
Tor is the biggest browser that people use for the dark web.
If you see that app on your child's phone, there's only one use for it: accessing the dark web, and all it offers, from illegal pharmacies selling hardcore drugs to unregistered guns to videos and photos that most wouldn't want to see.
What attracts kids to the dark web is because it's inherently anonymous.
This Arizona couple was recently arrested, accused of selling prescription pills laced with fentanyl on the dark web to surfers from Connecticut to Colorado. But the freedom to cruise the dark web anonymously cuts both ways. It can be a playground for hackers.
As much as kids want to go on and they want to, because they're curious and they want to remain anonymous, there's hackers out there that know much more than they do. They know how to be able to use these systems.
Spokas shows how easy it is from any phone, tablet, or desktop to start a dangerous conversation. He also showed how easy it is for any parent to stop it.
And what you want to look for when you're looking at these are duplicate apps that are on their phone. Do they have 2 calculators? Are there 2 compasses, maybe?
That duplicate app, also called a ghost app, is pretty easy to spot.
You can look at the phone storage and the different apps that are on there. Things like calculators take up a small amount of data, maybe 128 megabytes, whereas if there's another calculator that's on there, a secondary one, and it has something like 5 gigabytes of data on it, your calculator is not going to take up that much data. So more than likely that's a ghost app and they're hiding different kinds of things on there.
Instagram is simple to spot, but have you heard of Finsta or Fake Insta? Those are popular ghost apps that look like calculators. If there are apps on your kid's phone that you don't recognize, don't be afraid to ask them what it is. Also ask them to show you how it works. Carla Wade, 13 Action News.
So shocking. So be very, very careful what your children have on their apps. It's so easy. They're so good at it. They're so good at hiding it. So be praying for the youth because they were born and raised in a digital world, And it's so easy for us to get caught up in hours of looking and searching as well. Being a researcher, I spend a lot of time online, but I have to check myself and put my stuff down because I never want it to be an idol before the Lord. Okay, we're going to end this by talking about 3 John 11. Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. He who does good is God, but he who does evil has not seen God, does not know God. Revelations 2:13, I know your works and where you dwell, where Satan's throne is, and you hold fast to my name and did not deny my faith, even in the days in which Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was killed among you, where Satan dwells.
Okay, then we also have Ezekiel 33:6. But if the watchman sees the sword coming and does not blow the trumpet, and the people are not warned, and the sword comes and takes any person from among them, he is taken away in his iniquity, but his blood I will require at the watchman's hand.
That is exactly why we do what we do, right? We've exposed, because we've been saved from so much deception in this world, that now we can stand back and say, how did we get so deceived? How did we hit this wall? How did we end up here? And then as God reveals to you what he saved you from, how can you not share it forward? And it's a gift that God has given us now to give forth, to warn and caution. It doesn't make us the most popular people on the planet, because we expose things that many people love to watch and they set their eyes on. But be very careful. That is our prayer for you. We love you guys. That's why we're here. And I want to close with some hope, right? But God is the statement here. But God. It says, fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. That is so comforting. He will never leave you. He will never forsake you, right? He is the same yesterday, today and always. You can count on him. He will protect you. Put on the full armor of God in these days. We are living in wicked times. As everybody knows, it's getting darker and darker. But God. And that is the end. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Go to thelightofdeception.com. You can hear our full stories there. You can hear lots of teachings about deception. Also about current event type of stuff that's going on in the world today. If you are interested, you have it on your paper on the back here. And we are here definitely to help. We don't have the answers for everything, but what God has revealed to us, we will be able to share with you.